Are you part of a non-profit organization, a youth group looking to raise cash for your cause? Stay tuned at the end of this video to learn how you can bring the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation to your town live, featuring the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Through the ages, across generations, we've searched to know everything. Now, our biggest questions will be answered. It's absolutely everything you need to know about WWE. From inside the ring facts to beyond the ring history. Everything WWE is right here. Absolutely everything you need to know. Available now online or wherever books are sold.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans from around the corner, around the world, welcome to a special installment of Memories and Legends. Gary Michael Capetta is not with us this week, but Johnny, I don't think we could have a finer gentleman with us here in the studio.
You know what? Ho, ho, ho! Mick Foley!
Thank you, and may I say, I just I can see the set, and that's why I went from here, where the bare ankles are showing, to here, where they're showing a little bit less. Yeah, I should have planned ahead. Usually when I'm on TV, I learn the hard way. I was doing a thing for WWE, and the sweatpants were even a little higher, and I look up in the mirror with my daughter, and my pants are about like here.
There you go.
It's like, all right, man, that beard is coming in nice, isn't it? That's a quality beard there. I'm not messing around.
Right now it's available around the corner, around the globe on Amazon.com. St. Mick.
Yes.
From hardcore legend to Santa's Jolly Elf. You're a man that loves Christmas. We did a amount of publicity for that great DVD that was out a couple of years ago, I Am Santa.
Yeah.
And now you're back at it again in written form. Tell us about the great book.
Oh, you know what? I just felt last fall that I had this nice 5-year journey with an arc, you know, and I look at some of the wrestling books that have been written. I think the best ones sometimes describe a journey as opposed to looking back at the end of a really lengthy career and trying to find great moments from it. And even though some of them are very good, where they have trouble is they never make you feel like you're caught up in the moment. And I felt like if I waited any longer, I wouldn't have that journey, because I was at a crossroads. I didn't know if I'd continue to do it. And I was kind of looking back in those 5 years and the lessons I'd learned and how things got a little convoluted when I went from doing one appearance in front of 30 children at Santa's Village in New Hampshire to having my second Santa ambassador. I'm an ambassador for Santa, as is John Sr., in front of thousands live and millions on TV. And I may have gotten a little spoiled, So I learned some valuable lessons along the way. I have some touching stories and some stories where everything that could go wrong does go wrong. And then you find you learn as much from them as you do the ones that went really well.
Where did this great love of Santa come from? Obviously, in this discussion today, it's about 3 things I love: wrestling, Christmas, and reading. And it covers everything right here. But where did the Santa love come from?
I speculate that it was being on the road with children. I loved Christmas, but I found it was a way to extend that beautiful period, instead of just celebrating it. You might get home 2 days before Christmas or a day before Christmas. Back when I was in WCW, we worked on Christmas night. So we just had to extend that period. So we talked about it for months. And then when I rediscovered Santa's Village in New Hampshire for the first time since 1969, we went there in '96 and I was hooked. We've been there every year since. I may or may not have. My wife and I argue. She says I never declared it verbally, but I know internally my solution to the problem of my children growing too old for Santa's Village was just to have 2 more of them, And then when I was getting to a point where that was no longer possible, where I couldn't just be called out of the birthing bullpen, I said, I think that's part of the reason I was so eager to put on the red suit.
Johnny, much like Mick, you're a man that loves to don the suit. You're a Christmas lover yourself. You've gone to great lengths to help individuals and certain groups over the years. How do you resonate with what Mick's doing right now with first I Am Santa the movie and now Saint Mick, the new book that is available everywhere, including Amazon.com and other fine retailers?
After seeing the DVD and watching it on Netflix, you saw the various stages of those people who were involved as Santa's ambassadors.
Yeah.
I've been doing it since, as I said to Mick when we first met, 14 years old I started. And that's because the kids couldn't speak English. Somebody had to speak Italian to them. But the love that you give is given back 10,000 times in the glow in the faces of those children who walk up to you. And when you do special needs or handicapped children, there seems to be that special aura or that touch that just hits you when they see this mystical being.
I'm not saying that this is the first time I've declared this, but I've thought it for a while, and I know it's your son I'm talking about, but for that month when I'm in that red suit, I know what it's like to be John Cena the rest of the year. Because, you know, come December, once November, once Thanksgiving's over, you know, the way the children, like, their eyes light up, you have that capability of creating another world for them. Even if it's in a hospital room, you know, which can be the most miserable place in the world. If you put your heart into it and you have stories and you don't just explain away things via Christmas magic, you know, you can kind of create your own world. And when you go into a room and or a visit with a child who's been going through a tough time and you kind of take them on a journey, it feels very much like performing in front of a sold-out crowd. As a matter of fact, in the Christmas Eve 2015, when I kind of learned my lessons and learned that it's not the, you know, the quantity of people there, but the quality of the interaction, on my way home from a late-night Christmas Eve visit, I said to my son, we get the message from the father saying, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen, you know, we'll never forget it." And then I told my son, "I feel like I've just had a big pay-per-view match." And he looks at me and goes, "Dad, there were only 3 people there." And I said, "It doesn't matter, you know." So that's one of the things every wrestler struggles with, is how do you find something that makes you feel as alive as you were when you were in the ring? And for us, it's like pretty easy, you know. It's like we do this and look forward to it the entire year. Before I forget about our bond here, right? I'll just take you back to when I did the Holy Foley show, and I was looking to, you know, we're looking to how do we spruce it up a little bit, spice it up with a co-star. So I asked Kevin Dunn, lead producer at WWE, if I could reach out to John Sr., and he said, "Well, we're just concerned, you know, we don't want you just to talk about his son the whole time." And I said, "Kevin, we're not going to talk about his son at all. You know, we're gonna talk Santa.
Santa Claus."
It was the idea that here comes the father of the most famous wrestler in the world, and all of a sudden I cede my Santa seat to him in the Christmas room. And so for people at home, it's the idea that he may be the father and most famous wrestler in the world, but to me, he's just another guy who feels exactly what I feel.
Were you on Holy Foley?
No, we didn't get to do it. We thought there'd be a season 2, but we couldn't get him from Massachusetts to Long Island.
He's a busy guy.
Shooting schedule. But when we were talking, the other guys, the independent guys, former WWE guys, they see when we meet up, it's like, boom, we flock together, we go off, and we talk. People think we're talking wrestling and all that. They come by and
all about Santa.
We're exchanging stories. So I said, "Is there anything you need for your suit? You know, anything you use?" He goes, "You know, I think I could use a little better belt." He didn't know the lengths I would go to. You know, the people I've discovered. So I got this great leather craftsman out in Oregon, and I got him to make us identical belts with a little winter scene where Santa's sleigh is flying over the rooftops. It's got acorns and holly leaves on it, and got the identical belt buckles. So it's like, you know, we are like the mega powers of the Santa world. You know, he's doing good deeds in New England, Long Island, and we got it going, man, right?
I love it. Yeah. That belt has had more compliments, and I tell people the belt buckle is so big that when the children come up, they are awestruck. And so I say to them, "This is the magic belt buckle put your hand on and make a wish. And that belt has got more compliments
Yeah, yeah.
and more wishes.
Yeah.
I tell you, it was an honor to receive it. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Yeah.
How do you keep the art of the written word alive? Especially in this day and age, everybody wants the Kindles. I like the hardcover books. You've written so many books, and I've enjoyed all of them. I think Scooter and Tatum Brown are worth going out of your way to see.
Thank you. This one, you know, it used to be you get on a cross-country flight, and if you didn't have a book, you were doomed. And now it's like the 10th option, you know, like reading isn't what it used to be. And so you go into it realistically, you know, here's a story. It's not exactly like begging for an audience. You know, it's not like a real natural spin-off from your, you know, for your wrestling fans. And I went into it thinking, I don't care how many people buy this. At one point, I was just going to self-publish 100 to 200 copies. And then a couple of people took a look, one of them being Stephanie McMahon, and thought I had a story worth telling that might appeal. The other one being my publisher / editor / publicist. You know, I went with a small publishing house, and I just pitched. When I finally pitched, I said, would you be willing to do a small print run that I don't, you know, without much publicity? Because part of the challenge is to get the word out without talking so much about your project that you don't want to see it anymore. And that's happened to me in the past with a couple of my books, and I find that the ones I publicize less, even if they don't do as well, there's a little more pride in seeing that book on the you know, on the shelf. And so that'll be the case. This is one of the last interviews I'm planning on doing, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
You lucked
and
out
it's like, you know, it makes sense to promote it during the season, but I think I'm like, you know what, I think I'm good. Like, I think it's already sold more than I thought it would.
Good.
Yeah, and so I'm pretty happy with it. And again, it's about the quality of the interactions over the quantity of the sales.
That's what Johnny says about some of his femme fatales, but that's a different story for a different time. Mick, I got to ask you this. You've recovered, it seems, pretty good from the surgeries you've had this year, I hope?
So far, I mean, the hip's coming along pretty good, but they warned me that knee replacement was going to be a much tougher rehab, and they were correct, you know. It's hard to sleep at night, so that makes things tough, you know, especially when you're trying to promote a book. Looking back, the idea of starting a book tour 1 month after a knee replacement, maybe a little ambitious.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Well, I'll say this, you've kept a very busy schedule in the world of professional wrestling, various Comic Cons, the book tour itself, you've been doing some book signings, including the outstanding R.J. Julia's down in Madison, Connecticut. That's where we met the first time. I brought old Warbeard Hansen down when he was a much younger. He didn't even have the beard back then.
The beard? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I'll have to sort of clip from the interview that we did down there.
Okay,
we had some fun.
Cool.
I think your oldest son was with you. And he was really young at
that
point.
That's I've been going there for a long time. And I can kind of see, just based on the stores I've done, it's far less crowd. You know, I was able to draw 3 times the crowd with 2 days' notice for a Hurricane Harvey benefit. And I think it's the project. It doesn't reach out and hit everybody as being a natural. But that, I look at it glass half full. Would I rather have a packed house? Yeah. But if you're going to have a smaller crowd, then you have more time for each interaction. People are leaving, they're pretty happy. And then before I forget, speaking of the Harvey benefit, we're doing the benefit for the people in Puerto Rico.
And that is actually a great segue. The Hall of Famer Mark Dustin is waving his arms at me right now. I don't know if you know Mick, he's a Hall of Famer himself. He produces the music. If he ever has Tori Amos on to sing Winter, maybe we'll have you back.
Perhaps so. I'm coming to see her in Boston.
Really? When is she playing?
November 2nd. It's been 5 years.
I think she owes you a thank you for that book that you wrote, almost a half book you wrote about that song.
She's very gracious. She appreciates it, and she's never, as far as I know, referred to me as Mick Foley. It's always my friend, Mick Foley. So I haven't seen her in 5 years.
Well, it may make you feel a little warm and fuzzy.
Yeah,
it
does.
Cold winter nights, no pun intended.
Crazy thing is, I was signing in New York City, and a question came up about inspiration, whether I would get the inability to writer's block. So I had to try to describe what it was instead of calling it what it is. And so I said, yeah, all the time. I'm always convinced that, the book I write is the last book. Every book I write is the last book I write. And I talked about how, in the case of the Countdown book, it was really just a sitting up in bed in Dublin and writing about this chance meeting I'd had with Tori Amos that it caused me to, write a chapter, and then led to the rest of the book. And the woman from Barnes & Noble came up to me at the end of the night and goes, "You'll never guess who's signing at our Union Station store." 2 nights later, I said, "Who?" They said, "Tori Amos." I said, "Can someone get me a calligraphy marker?" Because I've learned to do some pretty good, intricate handwriting, when I'm writing these letters. So they actually bought me a calligraphy set just so I could write a letter to Tori Amos, And so she'll be receiving it as of this taping tonight.
Really?
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So it's all I've had these strange things with all my worlds colliding, and some of it's due to. I'm serious. There's a power. It sounds crazy. If John Sr. wasn't here, it sounds like we're out of our minds. There's a power to that red suit.
Amen.
I'm convinced that when you put it on, in the way that, like the Mankind, Cactus Jack characters, they were extensions of myself, but they were, tougher and stronger and more aggressive. I was never like the classic alpha male. I don't even know how I made it in WWE, to tell you the truth. But when you put on that suit, it becomes an extension of yourself, but it leads you to those finer qualities, of kindness and patience and wisdom. And you find yourself saying things in tough situations that you couldn't have said as yourself, because you're not actually as wise or kind or patient as the suit helps you become. I honestly believe that.
I would agree with that.
There may be people who put on a suit and play a role, but if you, inhabit it, I believe that it brings the very best out of you.
Unbelievable. I actually hear winter in the background right now. So that means right now, folks, we're going to take a brief time out. WWE is coming back to town this holiday season. All kinds of great offers and experiences going on. Check out the descriptions below. I'll be back after this brief time out with more Memories and Legends.
Welcome, everybody. This is unbelievable. Can you feel it? One of the most incredible moments.
Providence, feel the thrill as the new era Monday Night Raw returns just in time for the holidays, so you can hashtag best night of my life with nonstop action and all your favorite superstars. No filter. It's WWE Raw live on Monday, December 18th. Tickets and ringsider packages are available.
Yep, that's my dad. Who loved to lace up his boots, who loved the roar of the crowd, who battled with giants and titans that were larger than life. Yep, that's my dad. Who said, everybody's got a price.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 million man.
And when it came to fame, he learned that, well, it's true.
Ultimately, I always get what I want, and I always get my way, and eventually I'll have it all.
My wife, who was totally committed to me, my wife, who never called me anywhere in the world to check up on me, had now discovered that I was committing adultery.
When I discovered that Ted had been cheating in our marriage, I had to hold it together for my children.
In a lot of cases, the price of fame is too costly.
Dad, you've never said sorry to my face.
There's nothing wrong with going and trying your hardest at anything you love, but not for fame.
Your dad is so not the same person he was. We don't even identify with the people we were.
The one thing that kept me sane through all of this was my relationship with the Lord.
And all I ever wanted when I was 15 years old was to make you proud. And now I think that I have.
Following your footsteps again, I wanted to be a wrestler. Now I want to be that kind of dad. And I want my son to be proud of me because of the man that I've become, the character and integrity that I exemplify. And the only reason I want that and desire that is because that's the man you became.
Everybody's got a price. The price of fame is high.
This is Papa Shango, and happy Halloween! Ha 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 ha!
You become the softest.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. The chatter continued during the commercial break. John Cena Sr., I tell you, is it true that Mick got his dude love persona from you? With your luck with the ladies over all the years. Is that true, Mick?
Not as far as I know, unless it was subliminal.
No.
I came up with Dude Love when I was 17. It was 35 years ago. So no, I don't think it was a conscious.
No.
I don't think it's conscious. Can I tell you about the Fabo Pop?
Absolutely. We have a bottle of it right there next to Paul Bearer's urn.
Somewhere, there's a video of this because I was making sure that I recorded it. My son, as many of you know, he's on the autism spectrum. And at a break, in 2012, that can be frustrating. It can also be really rewarding. And after I did my first appearance as an ambassador at Santa's Village, we were kind of basking in that glow, and we're watching Elf. And I turned to my daughter, I go, who does Buddy remind you of? She goes, Mickey. He's exactly like Mickey, like the qualities that make Buddy so endearing are what make my son, so unique. And so he's taught himself to play drums, he's taught himself to play guitar, to the point where the same qualities, the obsessive compulsive qualities can be a little frustrating in real life, lend itself readily to becoming a really good guitar player. Like play the same chords 200 times in a row, no problem at all. Like, so when I go to Guitar Center, for example, Daddy, take me to Guitar Center, I know I'm going to be there for a while. And he picks up that guitar and he's there, for a while, and he's playing Nirvana. The clerk comes over. This guy had been working there for years, and he comes over, he goes, that sounds really close to the album. I've never heard anyone play it that close, and that's what happens when you have this child willing to put in that kind of time. So his big gift, he knew, was a Jaguar Fender Kurt Cobain model guitar. And any other kid who knows that's his present is going to say, all right, I said, you want to open it early? I know you're going to use it. No, but he wanted to wait until Christmas, but he would look at it every day. I wish I could open that up. And you want to open it up? He said, no, I want to wait until Christmas. So he knew he had that one, and he was almost sure he had a new amplifier, right? What he didn't know is that the amplifier was hidden behind the door. So he's eyeing up what in his mind is an amplifier, but what is in fact a case of Fabo Pop. You know where this is going, right? Oh. I think there was some disappointment.
I gotta say.
All right, Dad, please let me open it. I said, are you sure you're ready? All right, let me get the camera ready. And my oldest son's going, Dad, don't do this to him. I said, come on. Like that. I got the other one lined up behind the door 20 seconds later. He tears it open with all the, the enthusiasm of a 3-year-old, he goes, oh.
That's the reaction you use.
That's it. And then right before the disappointment gets too bad, I go, hold on a second. And I open up the door. He goes, oh, okay. But we got that somewhere on video. The disappointment with it, which actually wasn't nearly the size of the amplifier, but his body been eyeballing it for a month. Because it was down below the tree from the time you'd given it me. I wrapped it up. I've been known to be fairly thrifty, so I re-gift things, absolutely. And, the girth of it, the weight, he was like, it had to be the amplifier from the time, Dad's my amplifier's in it. So the disappointment was just legendary.
I love it. I love it.
What a great story. See, Johnny, you're everywhere. You don't believe me when I tell you.
No, I guess not.
Mick, we're talking about the great book, Saint Mick, Hardcore Legend, to
Santa's Jolly Elf.
You got it, brother. You are a man that is involved in so much, and I think you're a testament to this sport. I say if anyone deserves a Warrior Award at a Hall of Fame, even though you're already a one-time...
I don't know.
Calm down, Mark. Even though you're already a one-time Hall of Famer, I think you deserve a Warrior Award.
I think, look, given the nature of the awards, once they induct The Rock, 5 years after they induct The Rock, they're going to have to induct the Rock and Sock.
There you go.
They're going to come down to a point where they're running out of people. You
might not have enough
might put me and Senior together for our This Is Your Life segment,
And that was a true Boston memory. You had some great memories here in New England. You WrestleMania 14, you had the tag team title dumpster match, then the World Championship win December of 98. It actually aired January 5th of 99.
Yeah,
take us back to that
legendary night. Yeah, legendary night. I wanted a week ahead of time, and
pre-taped.
pre-taped, and WCW is live in the Georgia Dome in front of 48,000. We've got a pre-taped show in the Worcester Centrum during a blizzard, and they came out, and after our show, or during the show, I didn't know it until I watched their show after the fact. The call was made to give away the ending, with the idea being it would prevent people from watching, discourage people from watching Raw if they knew how it ended. And so an announcement that was supposed to discourage people instead caused 500,000 people to almost instantaneously switch the channel. So not only did I recover, from the initial hurt, because it did sting a little bit.
Sure.
Especially the way it was put. We know that Mick Foley, who wrestled in Mankind, was Cactus Jack, here is going to win their, championship, and then Tony Schiavone said, "Wow, that'll put a lot of butts in seats," and it stung, and the hurt went away the next day when I saw the rating, and it not only was I the champion, temporarily. But more importantly, permanently, it really changed the way people within the business saw me. So, for Tony and Eric, thank you. Appreciate it. Did me a solid there.
Love it.
If I remember correctly from your autobiography, you dined at the world famous Kowloon Entertainment Dining Complex.
I
that
did.
night.
I did. I believe that Al Snow says I was the guy who started that trend. I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah, eating at the Kowloon, because I knew Andy Wong through Phil Castanetti, and Andy, for example, he procured 2 seats from the Worcester Centrum when they demolished it or rebuilt it or whatever, and he showed up at Yankee Stadium, with these 2 hideous orange seats. Here. I wrote one of my books in them, but I don't believe I have the seats anymore. But anyway, I think I may have started it, That's what I've been told by Al Snow.
Well, Uncle Al, he's been here in this very studio before causing mayhem and was part of our Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks drive we'll talk about. But Mick, the Rock and Sock connection right here in Boston. You guys became the tag team champions over Undertaker and Big Show on a Monday Night Raw that didn't start airing until 11 o'clock because of the tennis. And look at the millions and millions of people that tuned in to watch it. What a crazy time.
I knew none of that. I didn't know that we won the titles here. I didn't know.
Well, can you give him an assist here now? You introduced Deborah McMichael as the Lieutenant Commissioner. Johnny needs some help in New Orleans this spring. Can you give him some advice?
I don't know, she's got to be there.
Some advice with Deborah?
Yes. Yeah. The puppies were in the studio before, and I tell you, this dog's tongue was wagging. But
what
can you get us out?
I enjoyed working with Deborah very much, but what it spelled the end to was the really creative commissioner offices, because I could be lit poorly and it didn't matter, And you want to flatter someone like Deborah with some nice lighting, and so we didn't have the bag of tricks that we used to have, blue lighting and all these different things. But I enjoyed working with her. We did a pretty good job together. We had the obligatory Thanksgiving food fight, and it was a lot of fun. So I'll try to put in a good word.
Good for you. Thanks, Mick.
All right, Mick, before we go, we've talked about this great book. I can't wait to read it myself. I love all of the work you've put out.
Thanks.
But Wrestlers for Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
You know what? I had done something for a group called RAIN. RAIN is the largest
sexual
assault organization. We had done a couple of WrestleMania dream vacations, which were like sweepstakes or raffles, where anyone can win with a $2 entry or $10, whatever it might be. An auction's a little bit different because clearly, it goes to the highest bidder, and you make it. An auction can be successful with just a couple dozen people who are really tuned in.
Right.
And so we about almost doubled what I was hoping to do for RAIN, and then with this succession of just brutal, natural disasters happening. I was part of Booker's auction for Harvey because he's a Houstonian, and my daughter and I raised some money. Together raised a few $1,000s for people affected by Harvey, and I just wanted to do something because Puerto Rico was so devastated. So I put out hashtag Foley for Puerto Rico, and within a couple days I had people reaching out to me saying, how can we get involved? And after I had like 3 people do that, I was like, let's change it. Wrestlers, hashtag Wrestlers for Puerto Rico. So we're live this week. Just click on my Twitter. It'll lead you to places, and
We'll put up all the links.
We were so loaded up, I didn't even call on John because I'm gonna ask him at another time. But
what a case of Fabo.
We got some, but we have some amazing things from the suit that Edge retired in. To the shirt that Seth Rollins was wearing on Raw, to the tie-dyed suit that I was wearing at the last Hall of Fame. Some pretty cool stuff.
I'd be glad to give you something for that. I'm sure.
Really? Okay, too late to call on him? We can do a one-day thing. All right, you know what? I'll.
He got the Fabo.
I'll reach out.
I would do that.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Nick, blame the old man.
I will.
Before
your dad told me.
Yes.
One last question, and I think it's an important one. This was asked by a good friend, Vince Martinez, out in California. Can you give, in a sentence or two, a word of wisdom to the young athletes right now that want to enter into the king of sports, professional wrestling?
This is one of only 2 wise things I've ever written in my life. Don't let anyone else define for you what being a success is. Some people have it that if they get in this business of wrestling and they don't end up either in WWE and it's like, you want to stop and smell the roses, but the business doesn't lend itself well to people who are content with just being there. And so you're always striving and reaching for that brass ring, and I think a lot of people forget to enjoy themselves along the way. And if it turns out that 1 or 2 people don't think you have it, there's nothing wrong with being a part-time superhero. There's really nothing wrong, and that's part of the lesson that I learned, because I was devastated in 2013 when I came in all my Santa regalia and they put me on Superstars. Superstars, which I described as like the Dipper needs your locker, so we bagged your gear and put it on Skid Row. It's a sign that your time is up in WWE type of thing. And it bothered me for 7 months to the point where my daughter finally said, "Dad, let it go. Like, you're no longer fun to be around." And then I'm not going to give away the magic moment that kind of drop kicked me into, realizing it wasn't about the number of people. It was about the ability to create moments, even if it's just for that one person. It turns out the one person was Nora Jones, who reacted like a child. I had no idea until 7 months after the fact. She just went off on a tangent talking about me walking into this, this gig she did with her, a side project. And I had no idea that I'd created any type of image for her. I didn't even think she liked me.
Really?
And it turns out, so I've got this quote on there. The only celebrity photo I have is a photo of me and Nora, and it's got the quote. She said, "I don't know how to describe it because it was so surreal. He looks so real. He is Santa." And I just looked at that. I looked at that writing, and I was like, it changed me. I never again thought let the numbers define me. So that's a lesson I had to learn even after I'd written it 3 or 4 years earlier. So I would say the 3 rules are, be safe, be realistic, and don't let anyone else define for you what being a success is.
Like those.
Yeah, pretty good.
And I'm lucky enough to sit with 2 of them. How about that now? Again, check out St. Mick. It's available on Amazon.com, bookstores worldwide. Get into a bookstore. It's a lot of fun, as well as Wrestlers for Puerto Rico. The auction is on.
Oh, you did that well.
There you go.
Well, my friend.
That's his other site.
That's right. You did that well, my friend.
Check it out. We want to help some great people. Again, from one of the true ambassadors that's ever walked through the door of professional wrestling. Just a great, genuine human being that deserves every great thing that's happened to him. For all the people you've tried to help and touch over the years. We're very happy to have you here. For Mick Foley, the Hall of Famer, John Cena Sr., thanks to the crew, Mark Dustin, Wes Simcoe, Reno Chastain, and the rest. We'll see you next time on Memories and Legends. Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marotti.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to let you know how the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation can come to your city live to help raise cash for your nonprofit cause. Experience the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation live in your city throughout New England, the tri-state area, down through the Carolinas, out to our friends in the Midwest and beyond.
If your nonprofit organization is looking for an interactive turnkey experience while putting the fun into fundraising, you've met the perfect tag team partner to work with every step of the way.
The MWF offers a variety of packages for groups of almost any size, from our live events at the Boston Garden, the Kowloon Entertainment Dining Complex, and the legendary Suffolk Downs, to high school gyms and function halls. We've presented live events everywhere and anywhere.
Since 2001, the MWF's mission has been simple: keep the kids off the streets. Under the leadership of President David Reese, we bring the superstars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow to your town. Not for a wrestling show, but an event that features action-packed in-ring wrestling, autograph, and pose photo opportunities, Q&A sessions, and so much more. It's the best of sports and entertainment. The week of your event, we can add on to the endeavor with anti-bullying campaigns, library meet and greet reads, youth sport concussion seminars, and more.
Our live events are fit for fans of any age from 5 to 95. This fall is part of our new Kids Club program. We offer live event experiences exclusively for the youngest of fans. On the flip side, we can produce a tailor-made event for fans of an older demographic as well. We work with you every step of the way to get the word out to fans near and far on our local television offerings and to over 50,000 fans and growing on our social media platforms.
Your success is our success. If your group has had enough of candy bar and wrapping paper sales and has the energy to team with our passionate fan base, bringing the NWF experience to your community is the answer to put smiles on faces while raising cash for your cause.
Contact us today to get the ball rolling for your custom-made event that you'll want to bring back year after year to your community.
Don't just take it from us. Here are the folks we've teamed up with in the past.